Welcome to Secrets from the Scene, a show for local musicians who want to improve their music, grow their audience, and learn about Minnesota's music scene. If you're interested in talking about all things music related and meeting interesting people from our local community, you're in the right place. Welcome to Secrets from the Scene. My name is Stephen Helvig, and I'm your host. This podcast is all about the Minnesota music scene. We interview local artists, producers, engineers, music businesses, music photographers, and everybody else that's connected to the music scene. If this is your first time joining us, thank you for checking it out and for giving us some of your time. And if you're a repeat listener, thanks for coming back. Today's episode is going to be about the journey of a band going from their high school prom, playing their high school prom, all the way up to First Avenue Main Room, Basilica, and beyond. I've got Guytano with me here today, specifically Grant Hamilton, the frontman for Guytano. We chatted a little bit before the interview, and there's so much cool stuff that you guys have done, impressive stuff. I'm excited to break down there's two unique parts, I think. There's stuff that I want to break down, which is the marketing and promotion that you guys do, because I think it's well done, it's thought through, it's professional, and it's effective.
Well,
all things that people want to know more about, for sure. And then the other fact is just that you have the same lineup for however many years now.
Yeah.
And the band dynamics that go into that, because, both those things play together. The band dynamics have to work well for everything else to go well, too. So before we actually start the conversation, I just want to read a quick bio for everybody that is not familiar with Guytano, and then we'll dive in.
Sweet.
Minnesota-based Guytano is made up of brothers Grant and Eddie Hamilton, along with Isaac Hess and Coulter Benoit. The band first met in 2010 while attending middle school in Sartell, Minnesota, where they began covering punk rock songs, eventually finding their own synth-based pop rock sound behind the songs of the band's Grant Hamilton. In 2016, Guytano released their self-produced debut album, I Am Inside My Body, which was recorded with Aaron Ankrum and mastered by Huntley Miller. The song Fall Back in Your Arms received an immediate response on both streaming and radio, and became an instant fan favorite at their live shows. Since then, they've garnered over 7 million streams on Spotify alone and a dedicated cult-like fan base. Please welcome Guytano.
Thank you. I don't think that bio's been updated for a while, but...
Well, add it to the to-do list.
Yeah, that's true.
The never-ending to-do list of a band.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. I saw you guys live, I think, last fall. A band that I produced, Silver Warehouse, was opening for you guys at First Avenue.
Yeah.
Great show.
Thank
Super
you.
Impressed.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I checked it out. And it was actually there that I was first like, whoa, these guys are really doing it right. They're taking it seriously. Because I followed you on Instagram and I got your automated voice message.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll dive into that later. But it was clear, like, okay, if they're doing this level of thing, they understand how marketing and promotion can work if you want it to.
Yeah.
There's lots of different ways to do it. So this is one, and it's definitely modern, but it's also scalable, which is nice. In any case, let's talk about the band a little bit before we dive into all that stuff. How about we start with this last weekend?
Yeah, just finished up playing Basilica. It was a great lineup. I mean, Counting Crows, Need to Breathe, and Jude in Line. So it was really fun meeting everyone there and just see how those bands work. And yeah, it's just it's a different thing playing a festival like that. It's different than what we've experienced before in all the best ways. It's a really fun time. Wish we could do that every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful weather too, great crowd. It's just good to, especially in the hometown, it just means a lot. Having the people resonate with it. Yeah, right where it started is special.
Yeah. In terms of size of shows, was that among the largest to date?
Yeah, I mean, the first Ave ones were our own crowd, and it was just our show, so it's just a different thing. But I mean, the Basilica, definitely the size of it was bigger, for sure.
Yeah, because have you done other festivals?
Nothing like that. I mean, yeah, we've done like 5,000, 3,000 cap festival. This had the potential. I think it was like a 15,000. There wasn't 15,000 people there, but the area.
Yeah. Biggest stage.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always fun. It's such a crazy experience to get on a stage like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did it come together for you guys? Was that something that you were working towards or just got an offer?
Now we know that literally everything you do is somehow connected, it seems, because I don't think if we wouldn't have done First Ever, got that show and promoted that well enough, that we would have got the Basilica opportunity. Actually, I think we reached out to someone there and they said their lineup was already filled, but something fell through and we got an email back a week later. They're like, "Are you guys still available?" And we're like, "We'd love to do it." So sometimes you just got to send a second email, or a third email and just be there. Because I don't think, not everyone's thinking about you all the time. Sometimes you just got to remind them that you're here.
Yeah, but you did reach out then initially.
Yeah, I think, I was looking back at the emails because I was like, how the hell did we get this thing? And yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's both.
Mhm.
You did the work of like proving that you can headline First Avenue, but you were also still reaching out,
Yeah.
doing all that stuff. So that's the kind of stuff I want to talk about today because I think people are really curious how this all comes together, and you guys have accomplished a lot. And so, being open about how all the little things that happen, right? As we
Yeah.
talked on the phone and what you just said, no, everything's connected. Everything comes from the other thing. Like you get to 7th Street entry, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's the first time you do that.
I thought we made it at that point. We're like, this is huge.
Yeah. And it is at that point.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you move up to Fine Line, and then you move up to the main room.
Mhm.
And now you guys did Basilica. So all of that's really, really cool. Talk a little bit about the history of the band up until this point. It's unique that you guys all have been friends, school classmates since middle school.
Yeah, I mean, we all grew up together within basically like a mile radius. I mean, I could walk to Isaac's house growing up. Yeah, and we just never got sick of each other, and somehow, and the music just, once we kind of unlocked that, I don't know, opportunity, but just the ability to create music together, then it was kind of this infinite, like, the more we tap into this, the more we get back, and it just connected our relationships even more, and then we started to learn our roles as a band, because we're not really a band where everyone gets in the studio or a room and just jams and then you go record it right away. It was definitely a different approach, and I think a lot of bands now, there's just different ways to do it, or on the songwriting side. So there's just been a lot of these different roles for other band members to really excel in, which has been cool over the years. There's a lot of history, so a lot of years.
Talk about your creative process a little bit. Like, how is it different in your mind?
I mean, usually it comes from just sitting at the piano and then a melody. Rarely ever is it lyrics, because we have these crazy conversations sometimes and talk about what grabs people and where's the soul in the song, and maybe it isn't even necessarily the lyrics you say, but I mean, those are important, but maybe it's the phonetics over the chords, and sometimes that's the subconscious. So like, I just try to sing scat phonetics over a chord progression, and then usually lyrics will present themselves. Because you could have the greatest line, but you just can't envision anyone singing it, or it just doesn't flow off the tongue correctly. It could be a killer line though, but I don't know if that's serving the song. So I try to just get as much subconscious, the first thing out as possible, and then spend hours just killing yourself over like every detail and stuff. And that's the labor of the song. But the initial thing is so important, to just respect the first things you're doing. That's something that no one else has. That's like the soul. That's why you should be creating music. Yeah, I mean, that's my approach. But
what about the rest of the band? When do they get involved?
Yeah, it just depends on the song. A lot of times it'll get built out quite a bit, and then, Isaac will come in and just have some drum ideas, and a lot of times we'll go to a studio and just do drums over it, and then it'll open up a whole different thing, and then usually it'll just get brought back and finished at my studio. So by the time a song is done, everyone's agreed, like, yep, this doesn't suck. This is the real thing. This isn't like contrived or BS. I mean, everyone believes in it, and then it'll get released. So it just kind of gets funneled through. Is this bullshit or not? Nope. Okay, keep it going.
Right.
So they're a good springboard. Even if, let's say, Eddie doesn't even hear the song till it's 80% done, when he does, he'll let us know if it's good, and we trust each other.
Yeah, people don't feel like they have to be sitting next to you the entire time kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think that would be tough because it's a lot of time, and yeah, there's just a lot of trust. We trust each other in a lot of different ways, so it works.
Yeah, well, I think that's a benefit because having people come in at different stages of the song is nice because you get different perspectives then.
Mm-hmm.
If everybody starts at ground zero, I do that with mixes a lot, of bands will come in, we do a day of tracking or whatever, and there might be a pretty decent version of the song right away, but there's still more to go, right?
Yep.
And people will ask, can I get a copy of this? It's like, no.
Right. Well, it's just going to start sounding good.
Yeah.
It will, even if it's not.
Right. Exactly. Because the more you listen to it, you're just going to start convincing yourself that that's what it should be. Especially if you are loving the song aspect of it, right? So it's always no. Unless obviously more writing and arranging needs to be done, then we'll do something.
Mm-hmm.
But I like having the band, hearing the recorded version of it. Obviously they have their own demos and stuff. They know the song.
Right.
But hearing my recorded version of it at first mix, because then their feedback is accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Like they right away know, like this is what's working and this is what's not.
Yeah.
Because it's brand new and you just have that first listen and it feels so much different. And then I can trust what they're hearing as feedback a lot more than the bands that have listened to it for 20 hours before we got to mix one.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, that kind of parallels what you're saying, I think, with if somebody is hearing it 80% complete in the songwriting process, different process, but then they're also seeing a little bit more of a lot more of the intention, of the finesse, and can have, maybe the idea was great, but now the execution isn't working,
right?
Or whatever.
It's the more we do it, the harder it is to impress. It's a high bar. It's got to be really good for everyone to be like, yeah, keep going on this one, Or same thing with my girlfriend. Like the majority of the stuff, she's like, nah, it's not it, because she's heard it all. And there's been a lot of garbage, but a couple, sometimes you get a good one and everyone can agree like, yeah, that's great. Let's finish that thing, know? There's no rhyme or reason to it. I think you just got to keep doing it. Even if you write a great one, there's a good chance that the next one won't be, but it'll get you to something great if you just hang in there and keep it going.
Yeah.
And that's why my biggest thing is the self-doubt. The self-doubt will kill you and it'll kill the creativity. And if you doubt yourself, the world's against you when you're basically in the wild west of making music, right? There's, besides this calling to keep going and your fans and the people that care about it, it wouldn't make a difference, it is kind of the Wild West. And so you gotta have faith in your team and your band and in yourself that you could do something great. That'll just produce great stuff, first and foremost.
Let's dive into that part of it.
Yeah.
The self-doubt, the team, the band, because I think the band dynamics is always an interesting conversation. We've talked a little bit about the creative side of it, the songwriting process, but you guys meet like on a weekly basis, right? To go over band business and stuff. And you were saying earlier before this conversation that like if we miss a week, then that self-doubt starts becoming a problem. Like that's part of keeping it at bay. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, we're talking every day, whether it's just making each other laugh or really cracking down and just figuring out, the next music video or what the release plan for the next single is. And I think it's just important in anything you do to just be growing as a unit, and especially with something that we're not in the industry of. You don't need necessarily our product, right, or our music. It's not like we're selling life insurance when you turn 65. It's like no one needs this. That's why you got to keep the morale high and just work hard together and not outdo each other. But I think there's a healthy competition of like pushing each other. I think is good too.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you guys delegate responsibilities?
They've just kind of presented themselves in the area. Like a lot of the songwriting is what I'm doing. I'm doing a lot of the mixing. Coulter's doing a lot of the social media side of things. Or me and Isaac are doing a lot more. Yeah, they are like building the songs and stuff. And then Eddie's just an incredible tech side of thing, lighting, programming light shows for different rooms. Just figuring everything out in that side of things, he does all the video stuff, and it's all important, especially when you have to do everything. And it saves money. You can kind of put your soul into the stuff too, more.
When do you decide to outsource?
sometimes like with producing and mixing, sometimes the frequencies just line up great and everything works and the vocal sounds great. And then sometimes you have the same vocal chain and just for some reason the vocal, it's just not there and you're running out of room. You feel kind of boxed in. You need a new perspective. And that's when we send it out to someone. That's been super great. And I love working with people, especially if they just really get what we're doing. Yeah, with video, I think we've been able to do basically everything on our own. I mean, we all know what we want. We've always had a clear direction for the visual side, and we're big fans of Prince, The Weeknd, and having the visuals tell a story as well. Have it be an extension of the music, not just four guys making music. There is this other a little bit of a show, a little bit of theatrics in it, which is fun, but not taking ourselves too seriously either.
Yeah. Well, you guys are trying,
yeah.
You're trying to make it big, right? I think in the visuals and stuff, you can tell that like you're aiming to make this thing look way bigger than it maybe currently was at the time that it was shot.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we'd all love to be able to have a family and do this stuff, and live a nice life. It would be nice to be the greatest band and all that. But I think as we get older, it's just like we just want to live our American dream and just be able to support a family and hang out, and do what we love. I think that's the biggest thing. And that's why it's such a blessing. Even that when it is difficult, or when there has been difficult times, it's just like what a blessing it is to do what you love. And you hear from other people, it's like it's such a powerful thing. A lot of people wish they knew what they loved, what they really loved or their passion was, and that's never been a question for us, good or bad. We've just known what we wanted to do since we were 13.
Mm-hmm. What's your guys' process for dealing with things, tasks, responsibilities, whatever that no one wants to do? Who gets stuck with that?
Oh, no one wants to do. I don't know. Maybe we just don't even do them. I'm trying to think of what we don't do.
Or what about things that are just like, okay, we know we have to do this, but somebody's going to have to learn how to do it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, right before the Basilica, we got in this, we live at like an artist loft place, and they had a photo studio that was completely made out of concrete, and we got in there, we started rehearsing, and we're like, we can't practice in here. So then we loaded up everything, took it to a different spot in there. So, I mean, that was the last thing we all mutually did not want to do, but we're like, we're going to like sound like shit if we don't practice right now. So if there's a common goal, I think you can just kind of tough it up and do it. If we weren't playing the Basilica the next day, I bet we just would have packed up and just said, see you later, so.
This is probably my last question for like band dynamics, because it's always interesting. There's 4 members, right?
Yeah. And I mean, like a fifth member too is doing a lot of writing with us and playing with us too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For the core 4, at least.
Yeah.
Then. When you've got 2 people on one side, 2 people on the other side of a decision, what's your tiebreaker?
I don't know. I think if someone feels really passionate about it, I think we're good at just letting it go. And I think we all have pretty similar tastes when it comes to the big questions. I mean, obviously we all have different personalities, and we just know it's not all, like, especially when you're this close to people, it's not always going to be easy. I think even in a family dynamic, I mean, sometimes you hate the people you love the most, and there's ups and downs, but you got to be okay with that. You got to know each other enough to be okay with that. So I think we just know each other really well now. And if someone needs to like empty the tank and just kind of say a bunch of stuff, we'll just let it happen, or vice versa. I mean, I'm probably a diva sometimes too. I mean, we all have our moments, Eddie sometimes throws the keyboard stand on the ground, you just got to let it happen,
Yeah. But knowing each other since middle school helps with that too. Like you guys have obviously been through so much together, high school and college, right?
Right. And there's no ego. There's not any weird ulterior motive or anything. It's just we know each other too well to have any ego or anything like that, at least around each other,
Yeah. All right. Well, let's hop over to some of the marketing and promotion stuff you've done. Let's start with the automated voice message that I got on Instagram.
Yeah. That was, I'm not going to take credit for that. I forget who told us to do that, but maybe it was a different band a couple of years ago. Someone told us to do that, and we're like, yeah, that's interesting. And we just kind of played it off and be like, well, that might work.
Briefly explain to people exactly what it is.
When someone follows, we don't even treat it as work. It's just an introduction to our band, and I don't know how long we'll keep doing it, but it's just a way of, like, since they're investing into us, the least we could do is just say, hey, introduce ourselves, and that's it. We're not trying to sell you anything or buy merch or whatever, come to the show. It's just, hey, how's it going? Thanks so much for listening, and my name's da da da, so. And for some reason it just really worked, and it's been even more than the business side of things or anything. It's really reassuring, and it just means a lot to us hearing that this music is resonating with people, and it's an easy way for them to share and for us to just say thanks, so I advise anyone who is doing any sort of art or anything to do something like that, because it's fuel, especially with creativity. It's like a lot of these people care. I mean, like, some person says, I was just crying to this song last night or whatever, and it's like, hell yeah, like, I'm gonna get in the studio tomorrow and like keep going, so it just means a lot. It's been really special.
So how does it work when somebody then responds to the automated message?
Like, they say, oh, thanks so much or whatever?
Yeah, like, enough people are going to be like, I don't know that this is automated. They just thought,
it's not.
I just got a message from the band. So then they start chatting with you. So then it just breaks into a regular conversation from there, right?
Yeah, like, it's not really, I guess it's just us talking, it's not like automated where we like click on a thing and it sends it, it's us talking. Yeah, and we'll just chat briefly, and some people say more than others. Some people are like, thanks, and just like the message, or it's like, yeah, I love this song, and like, yeah, just see where it goes.
So you're saying that you send a new recording every single time?
Yeah, we spend, I mean, there was a time where we were getting so many followers. It was like 4 hours a week. Me and Coulter would just sit and go back and forth on the couch and just watch like YouTube fails, and hey, like, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, they're not automated. They're real. Yeah.
I wouldn't judge you at all if you just made one.
But you know what? No, it doesn't. They deserve more than that, though. But
that's why I was asking. Like, if they do respond,
yeah,
then of course, yeah, you can't be automated after that. But literally, you're pretty much repeating yourself for 4 hours if you're doing it.
Yeah, you start sounding. You start like stuttering, but in an hour or two, but they deserve the real thing. And especially if this is a long relationship of like, I'm investing into your music and this is going to bleed into my life and my memories, and like, we take it seriously with that, because we don't take ourselves seriously, but the music we put everything into it, not every song, but our souls are in these songs, what they're things that have happened to us. And so other people resonating with them, it just means a lot. So yeah, we wouldn't do the auto copy paste thing. That'd be like AI, Try to minimize the AI right now.
Let's take a quick break so I can tell you about my latest offering for independent artists here at Helvig Productions. As you may know, I'm a music producer located here in the Twin Cities, and I've been running a recording studio for the last 15 years. I've worked with hundreds of local artists spanning pop, rock, Americana, and all the various forms of indie singer-songwriter music. And I know just how hard it can be to finish your own songs. It's easy to get stuck in a death loop of endlessly tweaking things, rewriting sections, or just completely starting over and never feeling satisfied. This is why I've started offering a free song analysis, which I call Musician's Roadblock Relief. If you're currently stuck working on that same song over and over again, I'd love to offer you some ideas that may help. I will objectively analyze your track and offer some helpful possibilities to hopefully get you unstuck and back to finishing that project. My feedback will cover one of the 3 areas where I've seen artists struggle the most. The first one is the song itself. I've had artists come to me wanting to produce a song that just isn't great. But there's no sense in spending money on a bad song because no amount of production or mixing will fix that. You need strong melodies, good lyrics, and a nice flow from start to finish. The second roadblock I see artists run into is bad production. Even if the song is good, the production needs to match the sound you want. Are the sounds right for your style? Is the arrangement too messy? How does it build? Are you doing too much or too little? When all the supporting production elements work in harmony, the song comes to life. And the last thing is mixing problems. Nothing is more frustrating than loving your song, but discovering it sounds terrible everywhere outside of your home studio. Pro-level mixing is hard, and it takes years to master. Mixing problems may be holding you back. If you've wasted enough time in the trial and error loop and are ready to try a different approach, head to helvigproductions.com/fixmysong and fill out my application. That's HELVIG productions.com/fixmysong. I'll take a look at your specific situation, and if I think I can help, I certainly will. It's 100% free and may just be the thing to get you unstuck and back making progress toward your goals. All right. I know another unique, although it's not really unique, that's probably the wrong word. Another interesting thing that you've done, maybe it's just more novel today than it maybe once was hitting the streets, passing out QR codes, shaking hands. What does that look like for you guys, and how effective is it?
Yeah, I think, the music is number one. And after that, especially locally, I think we just thought, if we want to do this here in Minneapolis, the way to reach the most people is just go to other shows and meet them, and not necessarily ask for anything of someone, just introduce the band. And if you like it, check out, we're playing at First Ave or Fine Line or whatever show. I think it was the Fine Line show a couple of years ago. And people resonated with it. They thought it was, it's the dedication of it maybe, but it was genuine, It wasn't like contrived, or I don't even know the word for it, but we just love this thing, and so we thought to share it with people.
I think anybody that's willing to do that method, it's certainly not contrived. It is genuine, and it is effective. I mean, back in the day, if you're standing around for a concert, people give out their CDs, right? Or try to sell them. And that still happens, of course, but less, right? And the fact that you guys are doing that, meeting people of like, hey, you're going to this show. This is a lot like the music that we do. Check this out. Here's a QR code, know, and making connections. Like, there's nothing contrived about it. Because if you've done it before, you know how hard it is. Like, it's so much easier to stay at home.
Yeah, talk yourself out of it. Even right before we'd go, we'd be like, oh, it'd be so nice just to like send voice messages right now, or we could, let's just do it on the phone, send voice messages rather than going and doing it. But it's good, And, looking back, I don't know if I'd do it again right now. I don't know if I have it in me. I don't think any of us do anymore to do that. It was a finite window of time, but I'm really glad we did it in those years.
What do you think you learned the most from doing that?
How to introduce yourself to 4,000 people in 2 hours, whatever that entails, I don't know.
Well, one thing that I would imagine is just the elevator pitch, right? Of like, quickly tell me about who you are and why this matters to me. A lot of people can't talk about their band very well. Of like, this is what we do. This is who we're for. This is what we do.
Yeah.
You do that 4,000 times in a row, you're going to narrow it down.
Yeah. Well, and I think, what helps is just us doing it together. I think it'd be really hard to do it alone, especially when you're competing with what was it? There was some homeless guy just playing the drums, asking people for money right behind us and stuff. So it was, you just see everything. It's kind of like it was straight out of a movie kind of. We're like, this is hilarious what's happening. So, yeah, glad we did it.
Has your marketing and promotion strategy or strategies, outlook, mindset, any of that stuff changed over time as the stakes have gotten higher? Like how you promoted the Fine Line, was that different than how you promoted First Avenue and how you're promoting now?
I think at the time it all felt like a big deal, and it was the biggest thing we've done to that date. So the Fine Line thing that would be the biggest room we ever played. I mean, for our show only. We didn't ever get the chance to open up for someone at First Ave or even Fine Line. I think the first times we played there were our shows. So there was this weight of, we really got to make sure this works. I don't know if there was anything different. It was just the belief that we could do it, Yeah, it didn't feel different. It felt kind of crazy a little bit. Like this is kind of a big, the First Ave one too. That's a lot of people,
Yeah.
So let's make sure we.
Well, that's actually an interesting point. You guys never played there before. The first time was a headline show.
And same thing with Fine Line too.
Interesting. Are you guys doing co-bills much? Or, why is that? I would think
I don't know. And so that's why we're like, you know what, let's find some bands and have them open up for First Ave, because we never got the opportunity to, but we thought it'd be awesome to get some people that we really think, they're the real deal, and get them there and give them that opportunity. And a lot of the things we do, I think we have so much gratitude that we're even here. So there's no like, I don't feel hardened or anything. We're in a great place and it's a great opportunity. So the guys that are, 4 or 5 years younger than me or a couple of years back, I want to give them an opportunity to play at First Ave or Fine Line or whatever, It's fulfilling and it's what it should be. I mean, I don't want to say too much. That's just what we love.
Good on you for that. Obviously, giving opportunity that wasn't given to you is always a great thing. I'm thinking back to just even in the past, and were you part of like the scene playing with bands, where there's like 4 or 5 bands on a show, or have you always kind of been like, we're doing our own thing?
No, yeah. Like, I think the first time we ever played in the city was at the Triple Rock. I was probably like a freshman or like college age. I remember Yam House was playing. I think that was even before they were Afton at the time. And there was like these bands like 2017, 2018, like John Chuck and the Class, Denny, all these bands. That was kind of the scene at the time, or that's what we thought, that was our thing. And it's just cool to see everyone, like Denny played with us at Fine Line, Yam House is killing it. It's just crazy to think like that one show, the Triple Rock doesn't even exist anymore, but now where everything is now, it's cool. And all the younger guys coming up, it's cool. Yeah, there's always great stuff, especially the city. It's not a big city, but for music, just you can feel what Prince left. Even at the Basilica, we got to meet, St. Paul Peterson and like Dr. Fink and all these guys from Prince's band. It's just, it's wild that they're all here.
Yeah.
And just get together and just kill it, playing Prince songs, and it's a special city for sure.
What's on the horizons for you guys?
We just finishing up a new album and shooting music videos. We're really pumped on the new music. It seems like everything is kind of coming together there's always been songs, but it seems like our dynamic is the best it's ever been. The way these songs are getting recorded, production, everything just feels right. Rather than a lot of times it's you love the song, but this one thing you wish you could go back and fix, or it just feels like, yep, that's exactly what we wanted to do. And that's a good feeling. Like it's kind of a weight off the shoulders. It's like, this is the best I could have done at the time. Like, if people like it, great, but I can't do any better. So there's nothing I can do, nothing to change, which feels good. And, I'll probably say I wish I would have changed this in 2 months. But right now it's like, this new single is like, that's the best I could have done.
Yeah.
So feels good.
Oh, that's great. I skipped past just a few more of the kind of promotion marketing stuff I wanted to ask you guys about. When you guys released your first debut album, In the Bio, you got some immediate attention around it, right? It does well on streaming. It does well on some radio and stuff. Is most of that organic? Are you doing promotions for, direct pitching for playlists, for radio, that kind of stuff? Like when this next record comes out, what are you going to be doing to, obviously telling your fans and saying, hey,
right,
it's out, and letting them do what they do?
Yeah.
But beyond that, what else do you guys do?
Well, that first one, it was, I was in high school. We were going to a Aaron Ankrum studio in Northeast. I think I was a junior in high school and recorded that. And so you just don't know anything. And so, I was talking to my dad and we're like, yeah, let's release this album and just look up on the internet what you should do, and then it said, this was just a different era too. It was like 2016. So it's like college radio. You could chart on college radio, and that was a thing. So everything has changed now, and I feel like old saying that. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but I brought it into college radio stations, did that college radio pitch, and somehow like Spotify just worked right away. One song hit the algorithm, and that was probably before like 50,000 songs a day are getting on Spotify. So like things had a chance. So thank God for that. I have no idea how we got our first listeners on Spotify, but yeah, it all just kind of made sense. There was no doubting it. It was like, yeah, we're a band. We're going to release this album and it'll work to an extent. I was in high school. Yeah, now everything's different. But it's so interesting because music is still so big. Everyone loves music, right? I mean, I don't think there'll be any end to people wanting to like pay money to go see a show. I mean, that'll always be there. There's just so much music now. And that's why for me, it's like when I go on Spotify, I listen to the stuff I like. I can't even go down the rabbit hole of seeing how many actual bands there are, because it's like I don't even want to know. I don't want to know. It's just gonna make me scared. It's just gonna scare me. I'm gonna listen to like, you know, The Killers, Tom Waits, U2, and you know, just the great stuff, and just try to write some great stuff. And obviously new music, I love new music too, but like you can go down the rabbit hole where you just type in 1 or 2 letters and then just never ending bands, and or even new playlists and stuff. I don't know. It's just a different thing, but I think it's always been different, right? And everyone complains about it being not what it used to be, and that doesn't get you anywhere, you know.
Agreed.
So it's exciting. We're pumped on the new music, and we're just going to embrace the new way of doing stuff. And
but in that embracing of the new way, what are you doing?
Yeah, we're going to, because I think what we have is our connection with each other, and not a lot of people have been together this long. So just let people in on what we're laughing about, and just how like just mindless and insane we are. Kind of, you know, just like, you know, we take the music seriously, but we're kind of nuts, you know, especially when we're all in a room. It's pretty funny. I don't know if it's really funny, but it's definitely stupid. Yeah, and just show that. And I mean, what I love about bands that really have impacted me is I like the people. They're interesting, you know, and like I care. Well, not even interesting. I just care about them because I love their music. Not everyone has to be like a Tom Waits type thing where they're just like on the street corner, like smoking the cigarette, like super profound, you know, everything is scripture.
I think being whoever you are.
Yeah.
You know, and
that's the only thing you have, really.
And that's going to appeal to who it appeals to.
You're right.
Right? People are going to love it or not. And
people
that's
are
how
just too smart. I think like the age of like, you even see, you look back at old TV, like from the 1950s, the way they talked, it was very scripted. But people, I think, just received information like that. It was like, yes, this is how people talk on TV. Now everything's so deconstructed. Everyone, because you see everything now. You know what everyone's like making for dinner. It's just a different time, for good and bad. I don't know. I think there's a balance too. You don't want to share too much.
There's sort of two philosophies I feel like on social media particularly, and it's like, do you want to be a reality TV show or do you want to be a magazine?
Yeah.
You know, a balance maybe works, but I think people generally lean towards one or the other. Of like, yes, we're going to do the magazine approach where it's curated.
Yeah.
And it is like thoughtful, all the content. And then reality TV is just like, being dumb in a room and just letting people in of like, this is just how we are. And both really work. The right answer is just whatever works for the people that like your music.
Right. Yeah, it is interesting. Because, everyone's they see it all. They know, so they're very smart. They can sniff out the BS for sure. And it, you know, music, it's for a small amount of people that really invest in it. You know, the majority of people are just, they don't have this big relationship with music, and so I think we obsess over how everything needs to look and all that, but it's a very small amount in the grand scheme of things. Like the people that are really investing, it's a small amount of people. So I think that too, just the pressure, it doesn't have to be as much, I don't think.
What do you mean?
Or maybe it does. I don't know.
Well, the point that you were getting to was interesting to me of like, because I agree with you that the majority of people don't have like a strong preference towards music. Like there's people like you and I who make music, right?
Yeah.
We know like this is what I like and why I like it, and I can talk about it all day. And we go deep with it. And it's a huge part of our lives. Now, music is a huge part of many people's lives, but more passively for most. Where I think a lot of people don't even necessarily know why they like music or the music that they listen to. I think that a lot of people just look around and like, okay, this is what everybody's listening to. You think this is cool? All right, this is cool. I'm going to like this now. And
it's got a good beat.
Yeah. And that's that, you know?
Yeah. But that's so good. Like if you like it. You don't need to think about it. And now we obsess over everything, but I just wish I could have that brain for like 5 minutes, you know, and just hear the new song we're about to release. Just hear it from just an average listener, what they hold on to, you know, and what they're grabbing onto, because they don't give a shit about the snare or whatever. They just want to like go, you know, they go to a concert, have a beer, and just kind of like sing a little bit. They barely know all the words. They'll sing a couple words and they just have a good time. I just wish I could be that person for 5 minutes and just hear music. It'd be really nice. It's like, it's like listening to a mix on a speaker or like a boombox or whatever. If you could just be an average music consumer for a little bit, it'd be great.
But I think when we talk about the average, or specifically people that don't really have a preference,
yeah,
I do think that it's really just about like repetition and popularity. Like if that's what the group is listening to, I want to be included. It's a communal thing. Like I want to be included in this. I want to know what everybody else thinks is good, and they go with that. And the more times you listen to something, the more you're going to like it.
Yeah.
It just comes down, you like now it's familiar. Like anything, when people say like, oh, that's catchy, it's like, yeah, it might be, but anything repeated enough times is catchy. Anything. As long as it's a simple enough melody. Like obviously something very complicated wouldn't be. But that's why payola worked on radio. Of like anything could be a hit if it was played enough times in a row.
It is weird. And we're I think a great place in pop music right now where the best people, they're making great stuff. Like maybe there was a time where it wasn't, like, maybe 10, 12 years ago, like that where everything was those super crisp. I think it was maybe that like when EDM kind of bled into pop music and everything was like, I don't know.
Well,
that's just not my favorite. But right now it's like, this is everything that's huge. Like I get it. Like it all is like, yeah, that's a freaking good song.
I agree. You have to be incredible right now if you want to stand any chance.
And that's amazing.
Because of the competition. And I think even in other eras and stuff, like generally speaking, most all of it's good on some level. The idea of, is it cool? Well, that's a moving target, and that's going to change with every generation. And I'm just saying that, like, even after all that filtering of like up through a label and all of that kind of stuff, and then it's like, okay, these are the bands that are going to get promoted. There's a ton of bands that are signed and in position with great records and great, that never get heard, right? Because they just weren't put out there. That one of them got promoted really hard and one didn't. To some extent, it's just like a popularity thing. Like if you're there, you're going to do better versus if no one's heard it. And so the promotion and the marketing of it does matter. And back in the radio days where they could pay to, have that be the only thing people could hear. Now with streaming, we can hear anything we want. Any small little niche, right? So it's different. And this is tied back to the point of like what you were saying earlier, which was it's for a small amount of people. Because my point of all of that tangent is that a lot of people are just going to take what's easiest for them. Of like, yeah, this is good enough. And this is what's on, and I like it now.
My girlfriend said this thing, one of the greatest things about music recently. She's like, you don't need to just shove everything down people's throat. You don't need to be like, not everything has to be the most profound thing. People have had a hard day, and they just want to listen to something just to like chill out for a little bit, and that's like, for me, sometimes I can just get way into like every line has to be this super important thing about my life and just the way sometimes even the performance of the vocal, sometimes it's like you don't need to just blast it down everyone's throat. If it's great, it'll speak, and maybe that's something to do with you want to be heard. There's with all the noise, sometimes you want to give a performance that's very cutting through and high energy.
But those details are for the few that you talked about. The small crowd that you were saying of, like, they care about those things. Right. And they are judging those lines. They are thinking about the performance. They care. Yeah. They're the fans. They're the people that do care. I'm just saying that the big majority, you're not going to change anything. It's just more of like what's convenient. Right. What's trendy, what's convenient, what makes me fit in, I'm on board. For the dedicated few that you were alluding to, then it does really matter. And it's those few where the fire starts. That's where a spark is going to be. It's, you don't get to the generalized stuff without building and winning over the few.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the stuff we love, just the bands we love, songs we love, it's all a feeling where these instruments create a greater sum than all of its parts. It's you could have four guys playing something, but it created a feeling. And so that's what we're trying to do every time. I mean, those are the ones that completely get down the pipeline. That's what we love. And same thing with lyrics too, as long as it's believable. Sometimes a great lyrics, you'd never question it. You know, you just listen to the song, it's like, yeah, that was the real thing. Doesn't have to be super profound, but it's just kind of effortless. It's kind of like a really good skateboarder doing a trick, and you just made it look easy. You know, sometimes I think people want it to be effortless and look like you're having a good time doing it too. That you're happy,
yeah,
while doing it.
What would you consider some of your biggest breakthrough moments over this journey so far?
I think with the songwriting, there's been a couple moments of like just straight up where you tap into that thing. I mean, I remember my uncle passed away. Eddie, my brother, told me about it, and then I was working on a song all day, and 10 minutes after, just all the lyrics came, and it just everything. It just meant so much. The song's called "Is He Sleeping Now?" That's one of the moments where I realized how powerful music can be. It can really immortalize a moment like I've never seen it. It's a picture that can be accessed and heard for forever. Or not even a picture. It's a memory. There's memories can be in music, and it just blew my mind. And it was really hard, you know. But it feels so right playing that song. It brings what music and what live show could be to a whole nother level when you have that much feeling in a song. And then you crave that, but you can't have your family dying all the time. So you gotta, you know, find other moments, and they don't have to be so significant either. I think a lot of small things can be super powerful as well. Just little moments in life, because I think everyone wants to feel addressed, especially with lyrics too. That's why I think the little things, the irrelevant stuff is good to add in, because that's just how life is. Not everything is super impactful.
Mm-hmm. And as your girlfriend said, sometimes you just want to relax. You don't want to take on the deep meaning of life,
right?
With every song.
That's hard for me because it's just nonstop every day, all the time. And so that's why music has been a great way to just not think about all those things and put them somewhere, put all these thoughts away for a little bit. And then you got to go to bed, you know, and then you start thinking about everything again. But yeah, it's a great way to, it's a therapy session. It can be. Sometimes it can not mean anything, and then you throw those ones away. But the good ones, they're a part of yourself in there.
Yeah. What about some epic fails of the band?
Epic fails. I mean, I don't even know if it's an epic fail, but I advise anyone who's on a bill or in the future that has like 8 bands, I just like immediately get off it, because we were playing at this church with 8 other bands, and then we get in there and we're like, this looks really bad. Like, we're not even going to load in yet. And so luckily we didn't. And we get in there, and then there's probably like 15 people in there. We're asking like who they're there to see, and they're like, yeah, we're this band, so-and-so band, whatever. So it's just all the bands in this one room. They all have their gear there. And we're like, we got to get out of here. And so we text the guy, say the drummer's sick. And we look outside, and to avoid the bands leaving, the promoter actually backed his car up against the doors where they had unload. So like the whole show, they literally just backed up so you couldn't leave. So luckily we didn't load in, but it's just crazy. That's why I think you really got to love it, because you go through a lot of that kind of crap.
Yeah, that's pretty bizarre.
But epic fail, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I used to run the whole entire show off my MacBook Air given from like the school. So it was just the tiniest little, whatever, like 4 gigs RAM. And there would just be like the worst noise. I mean, the show would overload. And we were running backing tracks at the time too, with like click and everything. So just the worst noises. The computer would crash, and then everything would cut for like 10 minutes. So we've seen like all the worst stuff. So now we're just, anything could happen now.
Now you have 8 gigs of RAM and it's solid.
Right. Yeah. And we got, 16 or something. We're still waiting on the redundancy though for everything so that it switch over. But
well, did we miss anything that you feel is important?
I don't think so.
I know you're working on this record that's coming out. I know that you've got potential labels and management and that sort of thing kind of on the horizons as well. We didn't really talk about that, but
yeah.
I don't think any of that's happened yet.
Yeah, just still in talks.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
I hope you guys find good teammates, good people to support you and to work with. It's hard to figure all that out and navigate. But, onward and upward. What's after the Basilica? What's the next big dream?
Yeah, just get these new songs out. And all this, just the whole new kind of era or whatever you want to call it. But we're just really excited about all this new content and music and feeling like the best, even at the live performance level, we just feel good, A lot of times you feel like a shit band. Right now we feel like we're a good band. Like that's just like a good feeling too. We're excited and just really excited about the new music. As boring as that sounds. But
when does it release?
The next single will be in a month, I think.
All right.
So we'll kind of decide that. We're chatting with a couple guys and stuff. So
sure.
Kind of figure out everything.
All right.
Everything's done though. So we're just getting ready to release it.
Congratulations in advance.
Thank you.
That'll be fun. I'm excited to hear it as it comes out. If people want to check out you, the band, learn more about stuff, check out shows, whatever, where would you like to send them?
Guytano Band on Instagram or just Guytano.com. And that's got all the stuff. Yeah, Guytano on Spotify. Kind of the main ones.
Okay. We'll throw those in the show notes. One last thing, Grant. I ask all my guests if they'd like to pass along a secret to the scene that is something that you found to be really helpful, something that you wish you would have learned earlier, maybe a younger version of yourself needs to hear it right now.
What we've been talking about, it's like, I wouldn't advise to do this to most people. But if you really got it in you, I don't think you're going to listen to anything anyone says anyway. So I think you'll just do it. Just get ready. It's a hard thing and there's no clear path. But if you really want it, I don't even know if you need a lot of advice because you'll figure it out.
Yeah. When there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, for sharing some stories and insights and advice. For everybody that listened, thank you so much for tuning in again. If you liked the episode, please share it. Consider leaving a review, subscribing, all that stuff. It goes a long way to keeping this thing going. If you've got ideas for other guests, please let me know. I'm all ears. If you have ideas for how to make this thing better, I'm always looking for feedback on that as well. But I appreciate you giving me your time today. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.